Oh wow, our whole conversation was on there.
We were just trying to save him.
When Joe, it's up and running.
I should stop screaming and start. I think we're good to go because it's going to be behind regardless. It's still working. We're good. We have volume now. We are live streaming everyone. We're good. Go ahead, guys.
Is everybody, sorry, hey, this is Dom. Is everybody good? Sorry.
Yes, sir. We are good to go now. Thank you.
Okay.
Good
perfect.
to go.
Yes.
So for those of you that are on our live feed, thank you so much for your patience. We did start the meeting at a little after 6, but our connection failed, so we are now back up running live. We have done our Pledge of Allegiance. We have taken our roll. All our members are present. And we will go back into the liaison reports. Mr. Bloomberg, if you don't mind taking it from the top, we would greatly appreciate it.
I don't mind at all. Actually not going to repeat everything because it's just legislative and it's not very exciting, but I do like to keep everybody informed. So the two big things was the governor signing into law House Bill 164, and the Senate bill is being put out for discussion. There's an overlap on a variety of the various things. And much of it was stuff we already knew about before school was let out, like the third grade reading, about students taking the final grade versus having to wait and take the end of school exams, things of those natures. But let's see where I left off. Also inside of House Bill 313 and incorporating House Bill 651, a provision to offer additional state payment to certain school districts that experience a specified decrease in the taxable value of the district's utility, tangible, personal property, or had funds deducted from its state aid during a specified period. Always good that they're looking for some ways to be able to give us more money. Give school districts the flexibility to decide locally whether or not to grant the use of their buildings to outside groups. There's also a provision that will provide relief and flexibility to school districts in transporting students in chartered non-public community and STEM schools. So that's all part of the House bill. Now I'm getting everything mixed up. The Senate Bill 319. Some additional legislation that has been presented. A provision that only the General Assembly by 2/3 majority vote can require that all residents of the state wear a face mask or covering. I'm glad our legislatures are really paying attention to the important things. Like they're the ones that have to decide. I wear a mask all the time. Statewide voucher program for children of full-time United States military service members to attend chartered non-public schools to be paid by school districts. House Bill 684 was introduced to revise the law on state academic content standards, establish norm reference primary and secondary education assessments, revise the law on teacher evaluations, create the Legislative Office of Education Oversight, and to change the operation of primary and secondary schools. I think we've already established that our legislature should stay out of education, but that clearly is one that puts them smack in the middle. House Bill 686, waive state testing requirements for 2021, provide exemptions from state report cards, and provide a safe harbor from sanctions based on state report cards. This one's really important, especially considering everything that's going on. That House Bill 688 was introduced to create the Fairfield Senior High School, the Ross High School, and Hamilton Hill School license plates. I'm glad those parts of our state are working hard on education. And the last one, House Bill 696, to create a policy of advising students about career technical education. And what is this last one? I probably highlighted because it's another doozy. Okay. This one gives boards of education some serious authority. Requires school districts to decide whether to open for instruction in the 20 or 21 school year, and to determine health safety measures, and prohibits anyone other than a board of education to open, close, or establish health safety measures to address the pandemic. So that is all the legislation that is worth printing and sharing.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Bloomberg. Nice.
You're welcome.
Amount. Ms. Falkenberg, do we have an achievement liaison report?
Yes, we do. I read through several. Most, as you can probably imagine, are dealing right now with the epidemic and the fact that we're forcing kids to learn and forcing teachers to teach at home, online. And there are several different projections as far as, and I won't go into this as far as the new year, but one of the articles that I read was from a teacher in Georgia who was forced in the middle of a project that she had her kindergartners working on to close down and for everything to go online. And she was kind of panicky about how to continue with this learning and the goals that she had. And she just was encouraging teachers to think about project-based learning, to be creative and to make hands-on projects that kids could do at home. After reading it the second time, I realized she teaches at a charter school, so she may have a different situation, but she was suggesting that you can get the parents involved and that, they can help out, which is wonderful if it works, if it's practical. But she was encouraging that project-based format, saying that it can help focus on larger themes, authentic experiences, and students' own interests, which is something we hear about all the time as teachers. The second article that I thought was better, actually, it's by a teacher who, again, this is elementary. It's very hard sometimes to move this over to secondary curriculum. But he was talking about how frustrating it was for teachers who had worked really hard at the beginning of the school year to make kind of a community of learners, which actually I've been talking to some of my teacher friends that are, we're talking about the same thing. And the fact that once you're no longer in the same community together, in the physical community, it's much harder to get that sense of communal learning and just the feelings that kids are allowed to share when you're standing in the hallway or sitting at your desk and they come up and want to talk about how they're doing. So what he was suggesting was that and there's a book, I didn't have a chance to look it up, Mark Brackett, called Permission to Feel. And he was saying that it's important that students are still allowed to talk about their feelings. And that might have to do with their fear of the epidemic, getting my MX mixed up, that it might involve the racial tension, the fact that they're seeing what's going on. They might have seen some of the
very disturbing videos about police violence, and that it's important that they are able to meet one-on-one with the teacher. Now, this sounds great for elementary school, for a teacher to meet one-on-one with those students, and I think it's really important. For a high school, when you're talking about 100 or 100 plus students, it's a little harder. But he did also talk about the fact that it is important that the whole class meets together at some point each week or every other day, whatever it might be, that they see each other and that they communicate as you would in the classroom, and can discuss ideas, disagree, encourage each other, whatever that might be. And I just thought that's important for us all, I think, to remember that students are feeling isolated, and it's really important that they feel part of a community. And that community oftentimes is the school community. And that's it. Cassandra, you're on mute.
Okay.
Thank you for that, Catherine. I think we tend to lose track as adults that we are able to cope a little better than the students, and their whole cycle of life has been changed. So that's important to keep those kids in the forefront as we go through this process as well. So thank you for that. We'll go right into item 2.2, Superintendent's report.
Well, good evening, everybody. As part of my report, I know there's always the burning question out there is what would the fall look like? I think superintendents are wondering that as well. But one of the things I want to start off this evening, the fact is really, as you can see on the agenda, the communication is really giving notice that, due to the challenges of COVID-19, due to the fact that we're, actually still waiting on guidelines from the state, that there's a likelihood that we will have to amend our calendar. And I'll give some examples for that. And I don't think there's a lot of school districts that are going to have to do this. We look at training. You just talked about the emotional impact for kids and technology. Our teachers were planned to come back on the current calendar that was adopted by the board is August 17th. I believe. I don't see that changing. It's just the fact that I think there's more time that's going to be needed to train teachers. And we talked about a learning platform called Schoology. The American Academy of Pediatrics has this great document out to read about guiding principles as school districts are looking at things. They even talk about social emotional training needed for teachers and staff and that piece. So we're looking into, we've just been in an unprecedented time that we have to make sure that we are opening up our buildings. If that is the case, if we have the remote learning for those families that want it, that we do need some time. So right now is that we don't know what that looks like, not looking at a drastic change, but the fact that we're going to need more time. I just need to be transparent that we're going to need more time to train our staff, to give them the skills that they need to be able to do that. And that would mean maybe moving the date, front loading the CID days, putting more in. I just want to be, and this is just, again, putting that out there because, we have a July work session. And what I'm hoping, as last Thursday, the governor was supposed to give out some guidelines on reopening, not being, critical here, but that got moved back to today. He was supposed to do today. We got word a day or so ago, and we're supposed to be getting those guidelines on the 2nd. That's just so that doesn't give schools a whole lot of time to be able to do that. But it's not that we haven't been thinking about things. We thought of a lot of different scenarios, and just some of the areas that we look at is that we need to provide a safe environment for our students and staff. So we really need to think through that, and we're waiting on those guidelines. You're seeing some states are reopening and they say 6 feet. Some are saying 3 feet between personal space. I think one thing we do know that we found out from our parents, they want 2 things.
Linda, I will stop you. I'm sorry. We just lost the feed again. It is completely black and no sound at all.
Yeah, there was a lot of trouble with the technology. We even brought in outside people.
We had 217 viewers that were watching at that time.
Wow.
Oh, that sucks.
Let me know. I'll wait.
I'm sorry.
Nope. I mean, the whole point.
Yeah, especially with this subject matter.
This is why people are, and I know this is the reason why we have so many viewers is because they're trying to figure out what we're going to do. I got several questions this week about it. Dom, are you able to contact Joe again? Or we?
Yes. So I'm in. He says I'm watching. He's live. Is that on everybody? It's not working.
I just got 3 text messages that say it's black.
Okay. Hold on a second.
If I need to, I'll tell them they may have to log out and log back in. That's what I'm about to do. All right. It's back, but it's behind. Okay, there we go. It's back.
Now, just remember, it does keep recording, Aaron. It does keep recording. So as it picks up, it'll keep going.
I think you're back on.
Okay, so let me keep it moving along. I'll go back. First of all, I want to let everybody know we have a July work session, and what I'm hoping between now and the July 14th work session that we will have those guidelines, and we continue to work every day on it. So nothing concrete today, but what we are looking at, again, I'm going to go back and repeat this: the fact that what we're seeing that parents are really seeing 2 things. We have families that are saying, they want the remote learning. They want to continue this way at home because of their personal preference, that they're worried until there's a vaccination. They don't want to leave SEL schools. We don't want them to leave SEL schools. So that's one school of thought. And then there's another one that they want their children back in school. And even the American Academy of Pediatrics will say, and as a former elementary teacher, it's important for those young people to be back in school. The other thing that our parents say too, they need consistency. I know a lot of school districts are talking about an A-B schedule. Well, for a lot of working families, that's not going to work. And so again, one of the goals we want is a consistent school schedule. And I think that's the piece is, where somehow we have a consistent schedule where it's 5 days a week, but it might look like an altered day. I'm not sure. Again, we're waiting on guidelines. We want to make the best informed decision. And what we're finding out is a lot of districts are actually pausing. They've had we've called around. They have 4 different scenarios. They decide to say, hey, time out. We're putting in a lot of work coming up with all these different scenarios, but we have to wait on some guidelines, and we're hoping. So our next step, we're hoping for Thursday. Our next step is you will have a message come out either tomorrow or Thursday, the latest from myself. My team and I, Melissa Thompson and Mr. Capel, and that we've been working, and Mike Murphy working on a survey, because really each family, we kind of need to know by grade bands, what are people thinking? We can't make plans with general things. So we're trying to get an idea of, is the remote learning going to work for you? Or you need your child back in school. And then that helps us to appropriately approve. Are we talking about 20% that want to be remote? Are we talking 10%? Are we talking, there's a piece. And then another school of thought, and again, just throwing it out there is, once we kind of know what these plans could look like, and working with our teaching staff and our administrators and our parents, is that school districts are asking people to commit, because it can't be fluid. So in other words, if you really want to do online, it can't be, I want to do online the first month, but I want to come back the second month. If you want, so things are, and you have to remember, I think State Superintendent says, plan for the worst, hope for the best, and be ready to pivot on a dime. Because you got to remember too, we can have these great plans in place, and then all of a sudden at the end of September, we have to go back into maybe remote learning. And so those are some of the things that we need to talk about, is that, what is that going to look like? I can tell you this much, it will look very differently than how the last 2.5 months of school were. A lot of school, we'll have a learning management platform. We have more time. Again, this is why maybe altering the calendar a little bit to make sure that we have that fail-safe net to make sure we're ready for that. But really, school districts, are in a holding pattern. And then when you do come back to school, you got to think about, is it, acceleration of learning versus remediation. And so that's a whole different thing about what are we going to really focus on? And I think that's a piece that we're really working with our content leads and our department chairs. And that work has to start. It can't be everything, and again, I'm going to go back to a document for the American Academy of Pediatrics. I mean, there's things that they recommend that kids come to school in cohorts. So in other words, you don't want to keep them changing classrooms and sharing space and different things. If you can contain students to a cohort, you kind of can contain their interaction. So there's a lot of stuff to be, to discuss. Again, we're hoping so what we are going to do, regardless of whether the guidelines come out on Thursday, we're going to be accessing and asking families about their needs with regards to what type of learning environment. That will help us as we start to plan with our teaching staff, to know what are we planning for, how much remote learning, how much in the guidelines are different. If you say 6 feet apart, that means one thing. If you say 3 feet apart, that means a whole different setup. So we're really, we've worked it out. We've measured all of our classroom space. We know things. We've done as much work as we can, waiting on a little bit more of the concrete of work. We do have engaged a company called Right at School for before and after school care. So that's another piece that we'll be surveying to parents. Is this something that you'll need for your family? And that'll help us plan as well. So we're doing a lot of behind the scenes planning. Some we'll never use, but we and others we will, because we just want to kind of be looking at, some other different things. So that's one of the things also why as part of my communication tonight is there will have to be some alteration, and our calendar may have to be fluid this year. I don't know. Again, it depends on some of the things that come out. But I do know this much: we are going to need a little bit more time at the beginning of the year to train our staff, and that would the students were due to come back on August 20th. 3 days is not going to be enough to appropriately do it. Now, mind you, we have 30 days before we do that. So again, we'll know more in July. I know a little bit more every day, but I want to be transparent to say that I am going to have to recommend a slight adjustment, but I'm not ready today because I don't know what those guidelines are.
Okay. So you're going to go into your next item? Go ahead. I just know if I'm inappropriate, tell me. I know we're up to 229 watchers, and I want to just address this situation. I appreciate you come with the logistics and the procedural pieces, and I just want to take a brief moment to speak to our community members that are here in just regular layman's parent terms. They are all here tonight. I don't speak for everybody, but I know that they're probably here tonight looking for you to say yes or no. I didn't anticipate a yes or no answer tonight. I've encountered quite a few parents within the last couple of weeks, and they have been asking me the same thing. And one thing that I do say to the families, not even with the board member hat on, you are the parents. You are the mom, you are the dad, you are the grandparent, you are the caregiver. Ultimately, it is your decision what you do with your children. So if you don't feel comfortable, live that truth and walk that walk of not being comfortable. I sit here today as your school board president. I feel uncomfortable some days going to work. So if I feel uncomfortable as an adult going to work, I cannot sit here and say that I recommend all kids go back to school. So I've been asking families to have those conversations at home with your family and your significant others and your leaders in your home. What do you all need that works for you? And when that request comes out, to ask families, what do you need? Be honest what it is you need. If that's a mix of some kids in school, some kids out of school, I don't feel safe, let's be honest and do that. The other thing that I have been telling a lot of parents is the governor is only giving framework. Honestly, it's like a skeleton in a bag. He's going to give you a bag telling you these parameters, and either we're going to have a lot of leeway because when something goes wrong, who gets the flack for having all the leeway and making the decision, or he's going to come out with a plan that is going to be unreachable and unrealistic. And then again, we're stuck making a decision on yes or no. So I just want to say to all the families that are listening, looking for that answer, that is our difficulty. I don't want people to feel like we're sitting here waiting till the last minute to roll out the carpet and say the day before school, bring them all in. But in the same breath, we are holding on to the seat of our pants, just like families are, determining what do we do next. So please know that we are trying to be patient with ODE, the federal government, and those governor mandates, but they are about as empty as the thoughts we have right now on what to do with kids. So I did tell another group of parents this week as well. We have multiple plans on, like you said, how we might open up school. So we're sitting here with maybe 5 different avenues. Once that directive comes out from the governor, we could very well be sitting in a place where 3 out of our 5 avenues are able to be utilized. So that is where we are. And I just wanted to be a little transparent, taking away the procedural words and things of that nature. Now, when you speak about staff training, you're saying it's going to take longer than a couple of days before school to start. I want our constituents and community members to know as well, we have to remember that teachers are working on a contract. So just because we feel it might take 2 months to bring them in and get them prepared, we necessarily don't have that authority. Am I correct, Superintendent Reed?
But we have to keep in mind that we need a minimum number of hours that our students need to be in school for instructional time. And I think that's the piece that we want to be mindful of that. So while we're mindful that we need to train our staff and they do need appropriate time, because you got to remember too, that we're not just opening up the school to say, hey, I'm going to start teaching this in reading that I always did. We're going to have to really, and we've talked about this, looking at those essential skills and really look at what are we doing to be able to accelerate learning, which may take time to kind of, I didn't say forever, but will take time to teach the right stuff. It's just not going to be opening up business as usual. Kids have been off for 2.5 months, and we're really looking at guidelines and things that even, like I said, the pediatricians and things that of that sort. So the fact of the matter is, we are going to give parents options, and I'm making it kind of basic. Either, some children, they need to be in school. Their parents want them in school, and that's an option. It has to be. And there's some families that say, you know what, we don't want to leave SEL. We don't want to go to a charter online school. We want an SEL education, but we are not, because of my child's health condition, we want to keep them home. Well, we have to respect that too. And that's where we talk about being fluid and flexible and things like that. It's not that we haven't done anything. We're going to have a return to school guidelines book. Just an example, when our athletics came back, we made sure that it was a 12-page document that we sent to the Cuyahoga County Board of Health for approval. They gave us suggestions. We made changes. The band wants to come back next month. We said we would submit a plan. They actually gave us suggestions. We made changes. I mean, so it's not like we're working in isolation here. Like I said, I've talked to a lot of other school districts. Everybody's kind of done a lot of homework, and we're a little bit like, well, let's pause before we move forward, because we don't know. I mean, there's transportation. There could be, that's a whole different thing. We put one child in the seat. Are we going to ask people to wear a mask? In some cases, again, the pediatricians will say younger children, having them mandate them wearing masks would be a very difficult thing. I get it. They say with older kids, you might have to. But if you're asthmatic, that may not be a good thing for your health. So there's so many different things, to consider. So it's not that we've been for 2 months looking at how to reopen and playing things out. And now it's time that we've got something down that we want to start talking with people of what that might look like. So I'm hoping at the July work session that every day we're finding out we know a little bit more, I should say every week than that.
Okay. And is it fair also, because I want to be fair and be mindful, our teachers, although they're teachers and they signed up for this, they are humans as well. They have families at home. They have fears. They have desires. They have precautions that they want to put in place for themselves as well. So just like we're vetting families on how do they feel, I know at some point we're going to have to deal with the vetting of teachers to see if they feel comfortable coming back and what are their obligations and what are their opportunities to choose how they feel and how they want to expose their families. So I just want to try to think about the whole situation in totality. I know sometimes teachers tend to get a bad rap. It's like, you're the teacher, be there. But in reality, they do have children at home. Like, we're sitting here trying to create guidelines. They're being subject to the same guidelines in their other role as a parent. So I just want us all to be able to look at the entire situation in totality, that we are dealing with beings. These are not robots.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges, and it goes for parents and for staff. I mean, that's what we talked about. We want a consistent school schedule. It can't be all over the place. And this week you're in the morning, and this week in the afternoon. You know, people, both sides, working parents, need a consistent schedule, and that's something we're really trying to see. How do we do that? And, you know, again, I have my own family, and my daughter and her husband both are working educators. So how do you work when your one daughter goes to school Monday and Tuesday, and then there's no childcare available on Wednesday and Thursday? What do you do with a first grader, a 6-year-old? So we're really working hard. We know that piece is important. That's why we're also talking about right at school, which is a before and after school and during care thing. So we're really going to survey each family and see what are your needs, and be able to build that around there. So the survey's ready to go. I was waiting for the governor today, but we're just going to send it out anyways. And that's so. I know it's long-winded when I have so much more to say, but I think I'll let the meeting move along, because there's July, and I think, like I said, I'll know more as we move out forward.
Let me look. I don't mean to take over your superintendent's report, but I don't want you to leave off something that you want to put out there. Go ahead and look through that report. If there's anything else that you see, I want you to release it if there is anything more.
Let's see.
Don't let me rush you. I just wanted to be
I think
fair.
like the other considerations where we talked about, just go, provides a safe environment for staff and students, something that's consistent, ideally 5 days a week. It may not look like your typical day. We want to make sure the instructional day, and I'm speaking more for K-6 right now, high school and 7-12 is a little bit different, is that obviously FaceTime, they need FaceTime with teachers. The core subject areas are important. Yes, we also know that children are still going to need music and art and things like that, because they can't just be reading and math, but it may look a little bit different. Again, you can't have kids sharing equipment. You can't have, you got to think of the safety. So it might look a little bit different. We talked about after school care. That's important to our families, before and after school care. Breakfast and lunch will be provided every day. Not sure how that's going to look. Again, they recommend you don't put 150 kids in a cafeteria. Okay. That's some of the things that might look a little bit differently. Transportation, it could be more parents might want to drive their children. If they want to do that, then we got to make sure that we have, that's going to, with our police departments to help us with there's a lot that has to be taken into consideration. So I'm kind of just throwing everything out there, not to say like we don't have answers for it. We have been thinking about all these different things, and we're getting closer to a framework that we think will meet the parents' needs. But really, a survey won't do. Every family, Ms. Harris, you have 4 children. They're in maybe 3 to 4 different buildings. They're different ages. So there's different things that you look at that might mean that. So that's it's not just saying what would you want generally. What then you can build by grade bands what some of those things are. Kindergarten children, kids learn to read, and up until age 8, that's a really critical time. They need to see their teacher. They need to do things like that. So those are some of the things, that there's a lot to consider. And I'm confident we'll do it. I'm waiting on some. Don't want to plan something, put something out there, and the governor comes back with something, and now we're retracking it. It's one of those holding times that it's almost better to take a step sideways to move forward than leap in and find out that all the work you did just has to be undone. So if you can be patient a little bit longer, we're going to get there.
Perfect. Did any other board members have any questions? I know we've all kind of been dealing with community.
Right. I'm just looking to make sure I didn't have any questions here too. Sorry. Okay. That completes my report for tonight, but stay tuned.
All right. Thank you so much. Item.
Okay. Let me go back to the here. Public comment.
Yes, ma'am. Item 2.3, public comment. I do know we have a few public comments that came through via email today. let's start with, I won't list people's address. Is that appropriate? If they were in public, they will list their address, but I don't want to list
That's
that on
fine.
the internet. Okay. The first one that I have here is from Miriam Kerr, PTA president at Adrian. I'll just read it and then we'll address it. When I first brought my child to South Euclid at Adrian Elementary in 2018, I was welcomed with warm greetings and community closeness. The whole school is amazing, and it reflects from its leadership. Ms. Marshall does it all. She was head of pretty much all of the PTA when I arrived and juggled her job as an amazing teacher and leader for the entire school. She seemed to have been the backbone of Adrian Elementary, and just in these short couple of years I've been here, I've learned so much just from her involvement with the school. If there is a concern we have or an ideal that PTA wants to present, we ask Ms. Marshall, and she is literally one of the kindest, most generous people I've met at Adrian, and most importantly, she advocates for our kids. She is the voice for our kids and gets excited when there is something that she knows will improve the children's academic and social abilities and overall confidence. She is an asset to the South Euclid Lyndhurst School District, and I'm forever grateful to have her a part of the Adrian team and know that she will work wonders in her new position. Natural born leader. Thank you, Ms. Marshall. That's from Miriam Kerr. Then I have one from parent Susan Hardy, who also happens to be our councilwoman. She is also the vice president at Adrian PTA. It says, "Dear school board members, it has come to my attention that Ms. Sylvia Marshall will be leaving Adrian to take a position at Greenview. Ms. Marshall's been a driving force of change and positivity at Adrian for many years. Assemblies, fundraisers, canned food drives, PTA meetings, community events. Ms. Marshall has been active and involved in everything. She will be leaving behind a big hole in our Adrian heart. Ms. Marshall is an outstanding person, and we wish her well in her new position." That is from Susan Hardy. We have one from Laura Thompson. My question, you know what, let me do hers next. I just want to keep all these other ones together. I have Quiana Barhams. "I'm thoroughly excited to hear of Ms. Marshall's promotion to assistant principal at Greenview. I don't know anyone more deserving. She has been a pillar for my children." She lists the children's name. They are minors, so I won't say them. "Providing guidance, support, and tools for my children to be successful human beings is what she's done. She exudes a spirit of excellence in all that she does, be it leading the PTA, facilitating Adrian's MAC ambassadors, being a leader amongst teachers, giving sound advice to me as a parent, and most of all, being present for my kiddos. I can't wait to see you again at Greenview, Ms. Marshall. Keep being a voice and beacon of light for our youth. Congratulations, I'm so proud of you." Then we have Laura Thompson. This is a question for school board tonight. "My question for tonight's board meeting is, how many children were unable to participate with online learning this year because their homes did not have internet access and or computers? And what will the district do to help get them up to speed with their education?" That was from Ms. Thompson.
Board President Jones, may I take that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We actually did survey our parents. Again, it's a survey. If they don't answer, we don't know that. But most of the folks that we did, and I don't know if Dom or Mike Murphy, or I'm not sure, or Dr. Motley, if you could answer that, because to pleasantly surprised, it was a very small amount that didn't have it, that the internet. And who would like to take that one? I know we did survey.
I'd be happy to address.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to. Oh, okay, Mr. Capel, go.
I just wanted to ask, was the survey done online?
No.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Was it done online?
It was done through Google.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
Google link. So one of the things we recognize is that we did send out a document, and for those individuals, of course, who answered the document, the survey that was sent by a Google link, and it went out to all our families, and we also had the opportunity to survey some of our students in the higher grade levels. Unfortunately, we had a response that would indicate that many of our students who filled out the document and many of our families who completed the document do have access to the internet at home. However, we recognize that that data is a little biased because ironically, for those parents who may not have computer access at home, may not have taken the time to respond to the survey through their phone, because it is phone compatible if you have a smartphone or a flip phone or what have you. However, we are taking different measures to really drill down to our parent population to make sure we're getting an accurate account of who actually has a computer at home and who also has internet access. For example, right now, Ms. Thompson has a survey for those families who are registering their students for the upcoming school year. And for those parents who are registering their children, we have a question about their technology access at home, high-speed internet and a computer. So we are collecting additional data because we realize that the format that we use is actually computer friendly. And we're really trying to capture our number of individuals that do not have access to a high-speed internet access point in their homes to conduct online learning. So we do have some data, but we recognize that we have to extend our efforts and collect more information so we have an accurate picture. We also are exploring, and this is something that Mr. Capel may want to speak to, is exploring how we can support families at home that do not have internet access at this time. Mr. Capel?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Malley. I know we talked about with the technology department with hotspots and different things. And I know that you were working on that. So would you share? Thank you, Dr. Malley.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks, Dr. Motley. First on the hotspots, from a principal's perspective, just at Memorial Junior High to give everybody a snapshot. Mr. Capretto was on the task force, and Mr. Gelka and myself will make sure every kid was in contact with at Memorial throughout the fourth quarter. And we got it down. We are at 99.9%, and we hit the last one when we needed it. And from that, we had one family ask for internet. Everybody else was there. We knocked on doors. We had everything we could do with the help of Melissa Thompson in her office, especially Commander. He was everywhere. But to that being said, hotspot-wise, we are ordering some. Joe Alessandro, our technology specialist, has 30 on order right now. And what we're going to do is we're not going to market them. I know there's a lot of people on the board meeting tonight, but if it is a need, we'll put that into the parent letter to let us know, and we'll take care of that for them. Is our plan moving forward with the hotspots. But the good news is, like Dr. Motley said, with the people that did turn the survey in and just living it as the principal for the fourth quarter and talking with Mr. Williamson at the high school, wasn't a gigantic issue by any means. I mean, I think I had 2 at Memorial, and Mr. Williamson, I don't want to say a number off the top of my head, but I know it was.
My other daughter also attended.
Cassandra, yeah. I'm gonna stop you because Angie, the person who you're talking about, actually just texted me. I have 5 text messages, and I just pulled it up, and the YouTube is not working. It is stuck on from when Dom was giving his presentation. I text Dom to let him know already. So if you give it a second. Yeah, it's stuck. It gets stuck on Dom's presentation when Dom was answering.
It's kind of like our meeting the other day.
I see it. It's stuck right on his phone number.
All right, it's back up, but it's his stuff. Around. Dom just took me. Okay. The volume is working. The sound is working, but it's Joe's stuff is figuring it out right now.
I'm gonna wait for Joe's picture to come off.
All right,
we're back. Are we back?
Yeah, I think we're good. It's just Joe's stuff. I think it's Joe's stuff still showing. I logged off of it.
Okay,
all right, we're good.
I think it's back. All right, let's try this again. This next public comment is from Michael and Angie Bryant. It says, I am very pleased and happy to to hear that Sylvia Marshall has been granted a well-deserved promotion to assistant principal at Greenview Upper Elementary campus. My daughter has attended Adrian from K through 3. Ms. Marshall was her teacher for second grade during the 15-16 school year. My other daughter also attended Adrian from K through 3. Ms. Marshall was her second grade teacher during the 18-19 school year, and also her third grade teacher this past year. To think that she is able to go along to Greenview and be in close contact with the second and third grade students that she taught 2 years in a row is fantastic. Ms. Marshall creates a welcoming atmosphere in her classroom that promotes learning. She decorates her classrooms in different themes, a jungle theme for when my daughter was in second grade, and a royal family theme when my other daughter was in her second and third grade class, and has comfortable seating like a futon, different learning stations, technology devices, and she always attempts various approaches to meet each student at their best reception to learning. Ms. Marshall allows students to feel like they're at a home away from home while spending so many hours in school. She encouraged parents to send pictures of students and their families to be placed on the wall in the classroom. That allows students to see their families' faces throughout the day while at school. Parents were always made to feel welcome coming to her class to join in activities and field trips. This is just some of the small but very thoughtful things Ms. Marshall does for her students. Holiday parties, birthdays, and special days were always done big in Ms. Marshall's room. They would come home with decorated bags filled with goodies that corresponded with whatever holiday or special occasion was being celebrated. She acknowledged the fact that students deserve to have fun in school and be rewarded for hard work. Her technology skills that her students benefited from were on center stage when the entire world had to abruptly turn to online learning due to COVID-19. Ms. Marshall's students were well adapted to online learning due to their technology skills developed throughout their regular class time with Ms. Marshall. I'm sure other parents were just as surprised as I was with my daughter's technology skills that she effortlessly displayed. In closing, Ms. Marshall not only was great at different and innovative approaches to teaching her students, she made school fun and she sincerely cared about her students. During my 4 years as Adrian PTA secretary, there was not one other staff member that attended every single PTA meeting besides Ms. Marshall, along with Dr. Woodby and Mr. Lasky. Ms. Marshall also became acting PTA president when no parent stepped forward to fill Aaron Lee Harris's former position. Both of my daughters list Ms. Marshall as their favorite teacher to date, and my daughter Kay stated, I never see Ms. Marshall get mad. The district could not have made a better choice in promoting Ms. Marshall to an administrative position. Although many students will be missing out on a great learning experience in the classroom, I believe Ms. Marshall deserves to make further use of her skills and hopefully encourages other teachers to learn and utilize some of her traits. Thank you for your time in reading this. P.S. You have my permission to share at the board meeting if you prefer so. And then Josh, I don't have the other one. You have another one?
Was it the one that came in a few days?
Brandy Henderson's. I'll send it
I don't
right now.
Was it the one asking a series of questions, or was there another? Okay, I do have that.
While you're looking about Ms. Marshall, Mark just text and tell everyone thank you. She appreciates the kind words. I asked her was she in tears because I'm in tears listening to it all.
Is the last public comment about her?
No.
Is it from Brandy Henderson?
Yeah, from Brandy Henderson. There was more questions about the start of the school year.
I do, President Jones, Board President Jones, I do have her email in front of me. I think two things. One of the, Mr. Cable did call Ms. Henderson because one of her big concern was she really wanted to have the remote online option for her child moving forward. That was a personal conversation, and that was the big concern that she had. So again, that was one more example that we have families that want that, and that's something we certainly have to offer as well. I think some of our questions were, if will there be a safety plan if they open? Absolutely. We're going to have guidelines, just like we've done for the other things that we've opened up. We've run them by the Cuyahoga County Board of Health, and we'll have people, another set of eyes, look at that. She wanted to know whether, and this kind of comes with the safety plans, would include temperature checks for every child before and coming and going from school. Will there be 6 feet maintained distance between each child? Again, that is going to come sometimes within the guidelines. So we would be addressing those areas. Even though Ms. Henderson has chosen to with their child remotely, these are things that we're actually going to be addressing. This is a big one. Will the district require masks to be worn at all times? Will the district supply the masks, and what would be the quality? The masks are a topic of a big debate. Again, there's several schools of thought on that. I mentioned earlier, small children, it's difficult to wear, not saying they can't wear it. Some with health conditions may not be able to wear it. So we really have to take all that into consideration. I personally wear a mask at the administration building to open up our building back up. If you are in your own personal space and you have 6 feet around you, you don't have to wear it. That's kind of hard to sit there for hours with that. But every time I get up, I have to put a mask on, because if I'm going to go by another person. And so, we're making some accommodations like that. That's something that we really have to get more input, I think, from our staff as well as our parents. So that will be addressed. Cleaning procedures. Our director of business affairs has been working with our custodian, and there are actually really things that you should be using and not. I mean, one of the big things is really, first of all, good hygiene, they tell you. Number 2 is avoid those big surface areas. And again, that's the cafeteria. Can't have kids be sharing space and different things like that. So those are some of the things to say. Minimize your plan so you're not cleaning things. High touched areas like doorknobs and other things, they talk about, clean them every 2 hours. So yes, we're looking at all that. And again, her last question was about, will we be offering remote online learning? Yes, that would be one option. How will PE be given if school is opened up? Just so you know, Mr. Capo and I met last week. We talked with the PE teachers. There's a lot of different schools of thought on that. One of the teachers said that he's moved from a sports center type thing where they're sharing equipment to more of a fitness, body movement, and different things. So yes, there's going to be things that we can offer, and things that kids are going to need to do. They can't sit in their seats all day on that piece. So so that's what I'm saying. Yes, things will be there, but we're going to have to look and approach at them in a very safe way, in a safe manner that we can do that. So I think that's, I think she says, when will folks know? Again, we're sending out a survey to all the families tomorrow. We're going to be looking at that and collecting the data. And then there's going to be a second survey being put out sometime in July based on the first feedback that we get. So we're moving things along as fast as we can. And I think I hit most of her questions.
Thank you. I found that. That's good. Well, I do thank you for everybody who submitted public comment tonight. Sorry about the length, but we try to get everyone in and address those questions right here on the feed. So we're working on that. And then finally, I will say, since all these letters go over to Ms. Marshall, congratulations to her. I think Greenview is going to be excited to have her. Adrian, Mr. Lasky will have to learn how to make do without her. She has always been a trailblazer in this district and to the families that she comes in contact with. So I thank her for her skill set, her energy, her thrive, and her just love. She has a genuine love for educating children. And I just want to thank her for that and congratulate her as well. I know those families are going to miss you. I don't believe we have any more public comment, do we, Mr. Hill? If it is, it's probably beyond the scope of the request, so we'll go from there. All right, we will go into item 3.1, the minutes.
Okay, hold on here. Here we go. It's moving slow.
That's okay.
Can you see the minutes?
Of the regular? Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The minutes of the regular meeting of May 19th, 2020, and the special meeting of June 9th will be approved as recorded or corrected. Furthermore, the reading of these minutes shall be waived. Do we have a motion to approve item 3.1?
So moved.
Second, Falkenberg.
We've got Ms. Lee Harris and then Ms. Falkenberg. Do we have any questions or comments? May we get a roll call, Mr. Hill?
Ms. Lee Harris,
Aye.
Ms. Falkenberg,
Aye.
Mr. Bloomberg,
Aye.
Mrs. Jones,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan.
Aye.
Perfect. Go right into item 4, Treasurer's Report.
Recommend for approval. I got a few of them. Bear with me. Item 4.1, the financial reports for month end May 20. Item 4.2, bank reconciliation for month end May 20. Item 4.3, the investment earnings report for month end May 2020. Item 4.4, donations. We got one donation on there. Item 4.5 is the transfer of activity funds for the year end 2020. Item 4.6 is the advance of funds for fiscal year end 2020. Item 4.7 is the transfer of funds for fiscal year end 2020. Both the transfers, advances, and the final appropriations, which is item 4.8 for all funds for fiscal year 2020, and the item number 4.9, temporary appropriations for all funds fiscal year 21. These are typical year-end activities, so we can close the books and open the new set of books for the new fiscal year. Item 4.10 is fund creation for 4.67 student wellness and success funds. This was an item that I looked back just to make sure. The 467 student wellness and success funds with a new account established by the governor's biennium budget last year for this year, for fiscal year 2020. And looking back, it was never put on last June. So I wanted to make sure we got it on before the close of the year. Item 4.11, the Legacy Village grants. These are the grants through Legacy Village that were applied for and granted through Legacy. And then item 4.12 is a Sherry Park settlement. And we can have further discussion on that too as well if you'd like. So recommend for approval items 4.1 through 4.12.
So moved.
May we get hold on 1 second. May we get a motion to approve items 4.1 through 4.12?
So moved.
I believe I have so moved from Neil.
And second for Falkenberg again.
Second on Falkenberg. Do we have any questions or comments?
I do, but I'll email Josh because it was about the Sherry Park agreement. But I'll email you in regards to it, or we can talk.
Okay. I will state that the approval of what we're doing is the payments that will be made to the district. There still can be some adjustments to the actual agreement and settlement. But
then no question, you just answered it.
Setting up the annual payments is a big part of what we're approving.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And just for the record, for those that are listening, that is not a settlement agreement for a personal lawsuit. That is property tax value.
Yes.
I just want to be clear on that so people don't think we're getting sued by Sherry Park Apartments.
Yeah, it's a settlement to make sure we get our back taxes as well as payments for a differential from prior years.
Okay. And then I want to say congratulations to the teachers still using that Legacy Village grant option. They never cease to amaze me. They continue to write those grants. And if we've got teachers out there that haven't written them, you might want to write them because these teachers have been getting quite a few good things for their classrooms and projects for a while here. And then thank you to the various personal donations as well. I do see a couple of administrators on there for donations. Thank you for continuing to donate and provide for the district. Hearing no further questions or comments, may we get a roll call?
Mr. Bloomberg?
Aye.
Ms. Falkenberg?
Aye.
Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Lee Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan?
Aye.
Perfect. We can go right into item 5, superintendent's items. We lose our superintendent.
She's on mute.
I've got a blank screen here. Sorry.
Yeah, she just popped back up. Good.
Yeah, multitasking. First of all, I wanted to thank the teachers union. This is actually, the contract was to expire actually June 30th. We all know that the last few months have not been a typical month. We talk about highs and lows. It was actually wonderful that the cities of South Euclid and Lyndhurst, during the middle of a pandemic, passed our school levy for our districts, and that was a real vote of confidence. We also know that the last few months have been very hard on folks, and what I'm asking the board to recommend to the board approve is a memorandum of understanding that extends the terms and conditions of the collective bargaining agreement with the South Euclid Lyndhurst Teachers Association for 1 year. Kind of fell under the conditions that we should roll the contract, but I think the important point is that our teachers recognize the hardship of the communities out there. They're appreciative of them passing the levy and giving them a vote of confidence. And so they have agreed to take a salary freeze with regards to this upcoming school year. Even working harder than they've ever worked before, they recognize the need to take the freeze and really try to get us through this time and really evaluate what the future holds for us as a district and financially as well. So I'm very thankful for the cooperation and the recognition of taking this stance with the community.
Perfect. May we get a motion to approve item 5.1?
Brian, so moved.
Neil, second.
Stephanie and Neil. Any questions or comments?
I just want to thank Sean and John for all of their assistance and work with this. We greatly appreciate your time.
And I would like to thank the teachers, because I know how hard it has been for all of you to make this transition to online teaching, and for your help with the passing the levy. All the times you made, phone calls or were out walking and talking to people. So we all really appreciate what you've done. I just wanted to make that clear.
I as well share the same sentiments. Thank you so much for the spirit of collaboration. And it doesn't mean that we don't think you are worth it, but I respect the fact that you see the situation that we're in. I think we've got our administrators as well that are following along the same. We hear in public education all the time that it's so top heavy. Well, I'm grateful that we do have a leadership and an administrative leader here that chooses to lead from the top down. And when you can look up and see these situations happening with collaboration, it makes me feel good. So I do thank everybody and the teachers for their sacrifice right now. May we get a roll call, Mr. Hill, if there's no more questions or comments?
Mrs. Ryan?
Aye.
Mr. Bloomberg?
Aye.
Ms. Falkenberg?
Aye.
Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Lee Harris?
Aye.
Before I move on to the next item, I just want to echo President Jones' comment, because I know we have a few administrators on here. First of all, thank you, Teachers Association. We do appreciate it. The administrative team, including myself, also recognize the hardship very grateful for the levy passing and that vote of confidence. And we still want to be good fiscal stewards of your money. We too will be taking a salary freeze. We realize the hard times that everybody's going through, and we're going to try to get us through this as best we can and even better than we can. So I just also want to acknowledge that with some of the administrators that are also listening. Under 6.1 certified staff, and just like I said, it's rolling a little slow. It will get there. I want the board to know.
We lost the feed again.
Yeah, did we lose it? Do you want me to wait?
Yes, give me 1 second.
Yep.
We might be back. Is it back, Aaron?
Sorry,
Nope,
I'll check it now. I had logged out of it. I'm sorry.
It says up next meeting May 19th.
Yeah, I see. It's on.
It's back.
Okay. So should I continue?
Yeah, you're good. It's back
Yes,
up.
go ahead.
And just want the board to know that we are actually going to invite Dawn and Sylvia and Lisa, 3 new administrators, to our July meeting. That this was a very June 30th, a very busy time for us. Had a lot we had to get done this week, but I do intend on inviting them. Also, we've had a lot of administrative changes. I've already drafted an announcement that goes out to our staff and parents so they can see all the different changes we have, but I wanted to wait through this round of changes. So on the next section under 6.1, recommending to the board to approve the amended contracts of the following administrators. What I mean by amended, they're moving from one position to another, but their contract remains intact. Dawn Imler, who was an assistant principal over at Greenview Middle School this past year and a half, is going to be the principal of Roland. Again, I'll introduce her in July, but just so you know, Miss Imler, before coming to SEL, she had been a principal for, I believe, around 7 years with the Cleveland Municipal School District. She has experience. She's connected with us, and we're really excited to have her in that position. Miss Bussey, who has been in SEL for an administrator for near 20 years, if not more, longtime principal of Roland, will be taking on a bigger role as the Family and Community Engagement Coordinator. I just want to make a point there. I mean, that is a federally funded position that actually saves the district money. We've not created a new position. We had a position open last year, but did not have the right candidates. We believe with COVID-19 and a lot of different things that, parents needing help and things of such, that Ms. Bussey with her and having that connection with principals and different things, Ms. Bussey would be a good person for the position. The last amendment one, just explain it, Mike Murphy, longtime administrator in the district, with the retirement of Mr. Stearns, Mike Murphy will be taking his position. And new appointments, longtime Sylvia Marshall, who's done such a fabulous job over at Adrian. I think she's been there 14 or 15 years. We're really excited. She's always been a leader. We're really excited her to take on another leadership role. And Lisa Quick is no stranger to leadership. She's actually has 12 years plus administrative experiences. And her last one was with the Lorraine Public Schools. City schools. I know that Lisa, Sylvia, and Megan Young have already met. They sent me some pictures. They look like a great team, and we're real excited for Greenview. And then, of course, we have the resignation and unpaid leave of absence. I'm going to move down a little bit quick here. Our content leaders for next year, department coordinators, department facilitators, and extended learning and summer preschool testing personnel.
All right. May we get a motion to approve item 6.1?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Lee Harris and Mr. Bloomberg. Any questions or comments? I will say our district has always been one to try to be ahead of the game. We don't really focus on trying to be the leader of the game, but at least be ahead of the game and try to serve our families before they come to us needing to be served. I know we have few conversations about this family and community engagement coordinator. I think I recall at the last meeting the conversation we had about how the residual effects of this situation on our kids, our families, and our community in general is going to be. So I think this is a great time to try to jump into that process. Granted, we might not have a full physical building to place kids or service families, but I think this is a start to assist that people services department. Our people services department is amazing, but at the same time, we can't burn the brakes off of them either. So I'm excited to see what the collaboration with the families and the district with a new coordinator. I know we have a couple other coordinators that do big work. Chet Mason, JC Commander. I even throw Dom in there, Capel in there, because he's all over the place. So they can't do it all alone. So I'm excited about what this transition brings. Welcome, Miss Emler, over to Roland. I think that's going to be a great move. Family's going to have an opportunity to embrace something different over there and new. They're going to miss Miss Bussy as well, but is that you, Neil? They're going to miss Miss Bussy over at Roland, but I think she spent quite a few years over there engaging the family and community out of that building and that quadrant of the city, and she has done an amazing job at it. So we do that, and we got Eddie. I mean, we've got coordinators all over the place, and I'm appreciative of the fact, Dr. Reed, that we're not spreading them thin and we're giving them the resources to be successful. Mike Murphy, welcome aboard. I know you've been a right-hand man to Mr. Stearns for quite some time. Mr. Stearns, congratulations. I see you down there somewhere. Now we won't have to bother you anymore. You can be home flying the Frisbee with the animals running out in the field at home. So enjoy your retirement. Just keep your phone on because we might need you for something. We're going to burn Mike Murphy out, I'm sure. So I appreciate those. Any other questions and comments?
I was going to say I spoke with Ms. Bussy last week in regards to her new position and title and her excitement and her enthusiasm in regards to it. It made me happy. It made me excited about the opportunity, an opportunity to actually be there for our families and our students this school year in a capacity or a way that we were not able to be there for them previously. So I would greatly say thank you to her for saying yes, because she didn't have to say yes. So sorry, hers for saying yes to this new opportunity. For her, I look forward to it, to seeing everything that she does in this new role, as well as Miss Emler. I'm looking forward. I worked with her last year because my children were at Greenview. Look forward to seeing what she does with their staff and the students at Roland. That's exciting as well for them. So I'm just looking forward to it. It's exciting to me, and I'm ready to get on Mike Murphy's nerves.
All right, may we get a roll call?
Ms. Lee Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Bloomberg?
Aye.
Ms. Falkenberg?
Aye.
Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan?
Aye.
All right.
If I may, this is recommend to the Board of Education, but I guess before I do this, and Dana, I don't know if you're on the line here, but just wanted to, today is actually his last day of work with the district. I just want to acknowledge I've enjoyed working with him the 7 years that we worked together. I remember his interview. We've actually he's accomplished a lot with regards to the physical plant and a lot of different things that we've done. This is not the first time he's worked a long time, and he's well deserving. I don't think he's going to miss the 4 a.m. phone calls together to see if we're closing school. Mr. Stearns, can you say a few words there?
Certainly, I am, Erlinda. Thank you very much. And you're right, I won't miss the 4 a.m. phone calls, but although, it's all part of the job. No, it's been my absolute pleasure, and I'd like to thank the board. I appreciate the board for the opportunity. I appreciate the opportunity to work with Linda. She's a great superintendent and a very innovative superintendent, which is hard to find. And we've talked about it before, Linda. I'm sorry I got here so late in my career. I would have liked to stayed longer, but the clock keeps ticking. But you're in very good hands with Mr. Murphy. He's been working with our departments for a year. I've showed him all my tricks, and it turns out he's got a considerable bag of his own tricks. So he's got a lot of talent and a lot of experience that we'll just continue the good things we've been doing in that department. And I think it's going to be a perfect fit and a seamless transition. And I will be available. If there's ever anything I can do for any of you, please feel free to give me a call, and I will help if I can.
We certainly like to invite you back.
You said it. I'm calling tomorrow.
Absolutely. You've got my number.
Wait a minute. There's 4 a.m. phone calls?
Yes.
Yeah, Mike,
We
I didn't
didn't tell you that part. Sometimes
I left that part out, Mike. But thank you all very much again.
We'll be seeing you, Dana. I'll stay in touch.
I'll be back.
All right. I feel bad for him because he really got shafted. Typically, we would be in the building and we'd be able to say goodbye, shake his hand, clap, and we won't get to do that. So sorry, Dana, but we will be in touch with him.
I appreciate the thought. Thank you. But
we may have something in the fall if we're allowed to. If we are able to have something in the fall that's outdoors, we're going to consider that for a few folks. And the same with Dr. Motley. She's here for another month, but it's kind of hard to say goodbye this way. But we appreciate you, and we'll just say hasta luego until we meet again. So.
All right.
Thank you very much.
May we get a motion to approve? You're welcome. May we get a motion to approve item 7.1?
So moved. Neal.
Second, Falkenberg.
All right. Any further questions or comments?
Just thank you, Dana.
Yes.
Thank you, Dana. I'm going to miss you so much.
You're very welcome. My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana.
Oh, you're welcome, Neal.
All right. May we get a roll call?
Mr. Bloomberg,
Aye.
Ms. Falkenberg,
Aye.
Mrs. Jones,
Aye.
Ms. Lee Harris,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan.
Aye.
Under 8.1, supplemental contracts, recommend to the Board of Education to approve the 2 club programs. These were our indoor track, our programs that I believe run in January and February. I think somehow they did not get on the agenda earlier, but we are putting them on this evening.
May we get a motion to approve item 8.1?
So moved.
Mrs. Ryan, second.
Mrs. Ryan. Any questions or comments? May we get a roll call?
Mr. Bloomberg,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan,
Aye.
Ms. Falkenberg,
Aye.
Mrs. Jones,
Aye.
Ms. Lee Harris.
Aye.
Okay. Under 9.0 business, first item 9.1, recommend to the Board of Education to approve, consider the student accident insurance renewal. This is actually something that we have to offer, but it is a policy that is optional for our families to purchase. And I believe this policy is identical to the one for our families last year. 9.2, recommending being asked to consider approval of the addendum to the the ESCNEO Northeast Ohio agreement. This is actually I forgot. I'm sorry. This is the Educational Service out of Northeast Ohio. For so long, it was the ESC of Cuyahoga County. I apologize. So this is actually we already have an agreement with the ESC, and this is an addendum because we will be purchasing, as we talked about, the Schoology, which is a learning management platform moving forward. It's that one stop that we're looking for to help with our families and our teachers. The Ohio School Council is being considered to authorizing the Director of Business Affairs to enter an agreement with Ohio School Councils for group purchasing, property liability, Boyle machinery, and so on. This is something, again, that is has a Ohio School Council has the purchasing power, and we're able to get things at a cheaper rate. It is the 9.4, our 1-year extension of our AVI food service, and the LGCA contract. That is where our financial software is housed, and it is another contract for fiscal year 2021. And then 9.6, approval of items as presented.
May we get a motion to approve items 9.1 through 9.6?
So moved.
Falkenberg.
Second, Bloomberg.
I beat you, Bloomberg.
Not a problem. I've been up against better.
Oh, thanks.
Any questions or comments? May we get a roll call?
Ms. Falkenberg,
Aye.
Mr. Bloomberg,
Aye.
Mrs. Jones,
Aye.
Ms. Lee Harris,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan.
Aye.
Okay, under 10.0, teaching and learning, 10.1, recommend to the Board of Education to consider approval for the following new courses of study for the 2021 school year: the STEM, Introduction to Engineering, and Applied Engineering. The course of studies for applied engineering has been revised to allow for students who have successfully completed the prerequisite course to advance to the next course of Introduction to Engineering. Both of these courses of study reflect our STEM program at Brush High School and include the Ohio Learning Standards for Technology. Under 10.2, recommending the board approve the following contract for the East Central Ohio. This is the American Sign Language. We've done this for several years now, and it is through a distance learning. Under 10.3, consider the interdistrict service area contract with the Educational Service Center. Again, we use the ESC here in Northeast Ohio for our gifted coordinator and other folks that we contract for X amount of years. In this case, it is for our gifted education coordinator, and I believe we've added 10 days to her contract this year. 10.4, just getting caught up in my notes here. Recommend to approve the following service contract between the McKeon Group. This is Corpus Christi School psychologist service to be paid through auxiliary service funds. Even though it's a non-public, we become the fiscal agent. So when we have contracts like that, they have to be approved through the public entity. And then 10.5, recommending the Board of Education approve the aforementioned teaching and learning agenda items through 10.1 through 10.4.
May we get a motion to approve items 10.1 through 10.4?
Ryan, so moved.
Is that Mrs. Ryan first?
Do Ryan first, Lee second.
All right. Any questions or comments? May we get a roll call?
Mrs. Ryan,
Aye.
Ms. Lee Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Bloomberg,
Aye.
Ms. Falkenberg,
Aye.
Mrs. Jones.
Aye.
Uh, 11.0, People Services. 11.1, Memorandum of Understanding with the Educational Service Center of Northeast Ohio to approve a Memorandum of Understanding for Ohio Online Learning Program available to students when necessary. I do want to make a point of this. We've utilized this contract before. This is more for credit recovery and other types of things. We will make sure that we're very specific as we move forward when we talk about our own remote learning, what that is and the difference between it. But this just actually, if there's something that we have to utilize for, again, like in this case, credit recovery, we have that available to us. Under 11.2 is recommending to be considered the annual renew of the agreement with EMS Registration Gateway Suite. Again, this is our online enrollment software, and this would be approval for the 2020-21 school year. And 11.3 recommendation to approve the special education. I'm sorry, did I say special education? There is a mistake there, I think. Hold on. That actually
it should say people.
It actually should say pupil service items. I mean, it's in the right spot, but somehow the recommended action. I just want to make note, Mr. Hill, approve the pupil service items 11.1, 11.2, not special ed.
Noted.
Okay.
May we get a motion to approve items 11.1 and 11.2?
So moved, Falkenberg.
Second, we hear.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah, Falkenberg, I just wondered what.
Hearing none, may we get a roll call?
Oh.
No,
Can you hear me? I did have a question.
Everything you said just went out. Say it one more time because it blinked out.
Catherine?
Falkenberg. All right. Okay. What is the difference between 11.1? Are these two different groups that we're using for credit recovery and?
So actually, they're two different things. The 11.1 actually we've used in the past. It's a online platform for credit recovery. The second one is a software platform for registration gateway. That's when we register our families now. It's totally different. It has nothing to do with instruction. Two different software. And this is the time of year, usually from now moving forward, we start putting our yearly contracts in, whether we use them or not, because it's fluid. We never know when we have to. So we try to approve them sooner than later.
I see. Thank you.
And I can't remember if you took a roll call yet. I'm sorry.
I have not.
Okay.
Ms. Falkenberg?
We did not. Any further questions or comments?
Aye for me.
Loser?
Aye.
No, I
Ms. Lee Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Bloomberg?
Aye.
Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan?
Aye.
All right, now we're on 12.0 special education. 12.1, the board is being asked to be considered two agreements with the Cleveland Clinic Learner School of Autism to provide educational services for 2021 school year. And these would be for students. 12.2, recommended the Board of Education to approve the interdistrict service agreement contract with, again, the Educational Service Center of Northeast Ohio for a visually impaired teacher. A lot of schools utilize, because they can't hire their own because there's not enough students, we do utilize services through the county, you'll see, on several areas. 12.3, recommending to the Board of Education to approve the agreement with the Educational Service Center for admission of students in the Positive Education PEP program for the 2021 school year. And again, these would be students that would be outplaced at the different facilities. And you can see for the different rates and the amount of days. And then 12.4 is also recommending to the Board of Education to approve the student service agreement for re-education. Again, these are service agreements for students that are outplaced outside of the school district. And 12.5, recommending the board approve the special education items as presented.
So moved.
May we get a motion to approve items 12.1 Is my feed
So moved.
stopping?
Yeah, yours is very low.
Yeah,
Everybody just got problems today, okay?
it's been a rough meeting tonight.
Yes,
It's
on
been
roll
really
call.
We have questions, or I got Ms. Bloomberg
Just
at the motion,
upgraded.
Mr. Harris is the second.
That sounds good to
Okay.
me.
Item 13, Board of Education.
Hold on, we gotta take a roll call. Mr. Bloomberg,
Aye.
Ms. Falkenberg,
Yes, please.
Aye.
Mrs. Jones, Mrs.
Aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
and Ms. Lee Harris.
Aye.
Item 13, Board of Education. Do we have any information besides we all have internet problems?
Okay. I do have some policies here.
Stephanie, can someone read them for me? Because I am stuck.
I can do that if it's okay. Most of these policies, if not all of them, are revisions. Again, for those of you listening, we do employ Neola, which is does our policies, and they give us updates on when the legislation changes and language. Typically, when you see a revision, it's because language has changed. And we want to make sure that our policy is consistent with that. So you're seeing this is a first, I believe, a first read. So there's no action on this tonight. Next month there'll be action on these policies, and those policies 2450, adult education, policy 2464, gifted education and identification, policy 3120, employment of professional staff, policy 3120.04, employment of substitute teachers, policy 3120.05, employment of summer school staff, policy 3120.08, employment of personnel for co-curricular, extracurricular activities, policy 4120, employment of classified staff, policy 4120.08, employment of personnel for co-curricular, extracurricular activities. And then policy 4162 is a revision for the drug and alcohol testing of CDL license holders and other employees who perform sensitive functions. And again, these are for a first read for the board to consider. Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Reed. All right. We don't have any more public comment, do we, Mr. Hill?
I'm checking real quick here. Let's see.
I don't believe so.
No. No more.
We have no need for. Go ahead.
I just said we have no more.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't have a need for executive session tonight.
That's correct.
And then our next meeting is July 14th, Tuesday at 6 p.m. for a work session.
Correct.
Freezing. And then maybe get a motion to adjourn, I guess.
So moved.
Second, Falkenberg.
Ms. Lee Harris and Ms. Falkenberg. May we get a roll call?
Ms. Lee Harris,
Aye.
Ms. Falkenberg,
Aye.
Mr. Bloomberg,
Aye.
Mrs. Jones,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan.
Aye.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. Linda's feed just lost too, so she's gone. Thank you, everybody who joined in this evening. We appreciate you. And you guys have a good night.
All right, I'm cutting off the live stream now. Okay, adjourn.
Happy
Yeah, we're done.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Come on.